It was not the most phenomenal game from CJ Stroud, but again, in the moments that they needed to be clutch, they came up with the big plays. The defense is a work in progress. I think the defense definitely had a game where it was a little bit tougher, a little bit of a wake-up call heading into a bigger game like against Michigan State. Yeah, kudos to the Nittany Lions. Kudos to Penn State. They played a great game. They proved a lot of their critics wrong. I think a lot of people maybe were thinking about Penn State coming into Columbus and thinking like, man, they just played the longest game in college football history against a terrible team. They didn't play well. They're going to get stomped by this red-hot Buckeyes offense, and they didn't. Great game. And it was really nice to have the two, mammoth Big Ten football games that we had this day, Michigan State, and Ohio State, Penn State, turn out to be, classic, interesting, intriguing games. It was good that neither of them were blowouts. I think that helps the intrigue of the season go along, for sure. OSU is so overrated. I don't think they're overrated. I don't know about that. Spartans will be interesting. That is going to be such an interesting game. It's not about dominating. I agree. It's not always about dominating. It's about the ability to show that you can consistently capitalize on opportunities. When you project this performance to elite teams, it brings real concern. When you project this performance to elite teams, I don't know. I think there's positives and negatives with that. The fact that Ohio State's defense gave up a lot of yards, yes, it definitely is concerning if they have to face a team like, Georgia, Cincinnati, who knows, whoever they would face in a potential playoff, or looking to the future, their next toughest game against Michigan State, who has a Heisman candidate on their team. Their running back, I want to just make sure I get his first name right. I know his last name is Walker. I think it's Kenneth Walker, right? Pretty sure that's his name. I just want to Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker had the single biggest game for an individual in college football this season, running for 5 touchdowns against Michigan for the massive Spartans win. That is going to be a massive test for the Ohio State defensive line. And the D-line had some good plays. They weren't perfect, but they came up with the big plays. And I agree. But the positive I take from this performance, the fact that, against the elite teams, alleviating some of that concern is the fact that Ohio State was able to play against a good Penn State team that performed well and come up with the better, bigger plays. And I think that gives me confidence in that the Buckeyes can play Michigan State, Michigan, or a playoff team and be able to come up with the clutch plays to win a game. Ugly win. Fall in the rankings come out Tuesday night. Yeah, we'll get to the discussion on the rankings, Donovan. Just got to catch up on the chat here. Played one good team, Oregon, that's it. No, I think Penn State's a good team. I don't think you can say Ohio State's played one good team. I think you can say that Penn State is a good team. I'd say Penn State and Oregon are both good teams. I wouldn't say they're great teams. I think they're good teams. We got no push. We consistently couldn't get 1 yard. We were dominating on the line of scrimmage. That is the ultimate negative. Yeah, line of scrimmage battle was, I think Penn State certainly won that. The Nittany Lions came out. They were tough, physical. Were able to get to TreVeyon Henderson, stop the running game. They were able to excel on offense and gain a lot of yards. But again, you need to capitalize on the moments. And Ohio State did that. CJ Stroud throwing a big touchdown. TreVeyon Henderson with a 60-plus yard run to set up a 1-yard touchdown. Jerron Cage becoming a folk hero in Ohio State football history, for sure. Some worrying signs on the defense. Gave up 384 passing yards, and Penn State didn't even try to run the ball. Michigan State's way better running the ball. That certainly is going to be an interesting concern. I am very curious. Ohio State running the Ohio State rush defense certainly needs to improve over these next 2 weeks against Nebraska and Purdue. But even then, like if they play well, if the rush defense plays well against Nebraska and Purdue, it's not really a clear-cut sign that they can stop someone like Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is the best running back in college football. And I don't know if Kenneth Walker can be stopped. He absolutely, shredded the Michigan defense today. He looked like he should win the Heisman Trophy, honestly. So, but definitely the defense showed like it's more of a work in progress. I'd say this was the second weakest defensive performance. I still think Oregon was the weakest, for sure. All sides gross. I wouldn't classify the game as like gross. Yes, like that. I think that's another thing. There's got to be a point where it's like, okay, if Ohio State, are we only satisfied if Ohio State wins a game by 20 points at least? Can Ohio State win a game by 7, 8, 9, and you're satisfied, sort of thing? And that's not directed at one person. That's just an overall question to anybody who's about it in the chat. I would agree that Ohio State could have played better. Absolutely. I think the red zone offense could have been more efficient. I think the defense could have stopped the run more and the pass a lot more. Penn State, Dotson had a big game. Clifford was half injured and threw for nearly 400 yards. Absolutely. But I still think a game like this, you're never expected to win by 30 points. So if you can go out there and make the big plays, to me, I think that's good.